So does Jeremy Doku A, drop his shoulder and take it to the byline, or B, chop it back and ping it to the back post? Well, these are the questions that Bournemouth couldn't answer, no matter how hard they tried at the weekend, and now it's your turn to have a go and guess. Be sure to let me know how you get on in the comments down below. Now, here are some examples that you can expect from the wonderful Jeremy Doku. He's so good at football, which we're going to talk about, of course, as well. Let's play! Guess the direction of Doku! Now first, what does Doku do here? Does he A, take it to the byline and then flash it across goal? Or B, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy inside and attempt to draw the foul? Right, so if you'd said B, you'd be correct. Well done to you. You're better than the B who said A. So now that you've got the hang of it, let's have a few more quick fires to see how many you can get correct. Imagine being a Premier League defender. It's not easy, right? That's the point we're trying to get across it. Okay, so here we have Doku once again squared up versus Chris Mepham. Does he A, go for the byline, or does he B, chop the ball inside? Well done to those of you who said that he would go to the byline. But what about this time? Does Doku A, cut inside, or does he B, exploit the space to his left? Well, I've done you there a little bit because the answer was actually both. So huge well done to all of you who got that one, which is everyone. Unless you didn't take part and then you're just a bit rubbish, aren't you? Cheer up. Right, we'll have a few more rounds of that, but before we play again, let's look at his stats from the match against Bournemouth and the mind-blowing realisation that I had this week that he isn't even just a dribbler. And even Pep agrees on this one. So with a goal and 4 assists against Bournemouth, Doku became the youngest player in Premier League history to put up 5 goal involvements in a single game. But also, he became the youngest player to put up 4 assists in a single game. Other stats that show how brilliant his performance include, and these, of course, are stats against Bournemouth and his ranking within the squad. Progressive carries, he's first for that with 9. Carries into the box, 6. He was first, of course, with that one. Successful take-ons, 4. First for that one. Key passes, first. And passes into the box, 3. Yeah, he was first on that one as well. Right, back to the quiz. Guess which way he went here. Does he A, drop his shoulder and perform a 180 to a central area? Or B, does he use the space in front of him and use the byline? The answer was A. And the impressive thing about Doku is that he doesn't do what you expect him to do. Usually you'd expect a winger of his profile to use the wide spaces of the pitch as much as possible. But Doku's close control, it allows him to utilise central areas of the pitch just as effectively. So let's have a look at his goal, where you've got Jeremy Doku here, who's got the ball, of course, Nathan Ake right beside him, making him a lovely overlapping run. And the first thing that is brilliant about this is that Doku, he comes inside actually, and he moves the ball further away from goal. And the clever thing about this is that it puts distance between him and Alex Scott right here, meaning that Doku can check inside and simultaneously get his head up, which is really clever and just allows him to utilize what he has, which is those fast twitch fibers to go, at least go away, fine, create that distance, but allow yourself to get your head up so that you're using your time wisely. The next thing I like about it is the awareness that he shows with the link up with Rodri, which he does once he makes that little move. He can see Rodri right here, not there, here. And what I really like is the fact that, yes, he's got his head up, but importantly, he follows his movement once he plays that pass to Rodri, which you can see in the next screenshot. The instincts to follow the pass, I think, are an insight into how he's much more complete than people give him credit for, and he's got a really good football IQ. And lastly, the finish is absolutely great as well. All that is, with so many bodies around him as well. What we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bodies pretty much around him. It's absolutely fantastic. And I think the great thing about it is that he hits it straight away. He comes into contact and hits the ball at such a high speed that it means that the goalkeeper, as you can see, hasn't got himself set in a position. And the end result is that there is a huge gap to the goalie's left, meaning the finish doesn't have to be perfect for Doku to score. So here we have his first assist versus Bournemouth. But what does he do in this situation? Here he is. As you can see, we can see Chris Mepham, who's trying his best to force him to the byline. But what does Doku do? Does he A, look for the instant cutback? Or does he B, try to beat Mepham before then looking for the cutback? Well, the answer is B, but how does he do it? This is where I think Doku is at his best, because even when you force him into going one way and he complies, he still finds a way to make the defender look stupid. Here he goes to the byline before using one of many of the tricks that he has up his sleeve to engineer space. And Chris Mepham, poor lad, he may not be aware of this, but certainly Bernardo Silva definitely is. So he knows to drop back 3 yards to be the receiver, and he scores from this. Now, you've already seen this image at the start of the video, but we didn't talk about what happened after it, and that may be the best part. So after he drops his shoulder and is performing that 180 spin, Doku doesn't do what a lot of dribblers do. Now, often a player with the dribbling ability and the pace of Doku will hold onto the ball for just that little bit too long, which can slow the game down a little bit too much and not allow you to exploit moments as much as you would like to. It's so difficult when you've got a superpower like that in terms of being a great dribbler, not to sort of lean towards using it all the time. But within one touch of the previous image, let's move it along, Doku gets his head up and he plays in Bernardo Silva. Absolutely fantastic. The boy's got vision as well as dribbling ability. And again, once again, just to reiterate, that intelligence that you often don't see with wingers because they want to get their head down and run and beat players, especially when they see space in front of them. But no, he gets his head up and plays a fantastic pass. And that, of course, leads to another assist. And that assist is actually the biggest problem that you face with Doku because he demonstrated excellent vision and passing range with that perfectly weighted ball. And this means that if you go tight to Doku and follow him into his own half, it will inevitably open up gaps in other places of the pitch. Places that he and pretty much every other member of the Man City squad can and will, of course, exploit without even thinking about it because they're so well drilled. But what did our boy Doku do here? Did he A, drop his right shoulder and cut the ball back, or did he B, lean back and float a ball to the back post? Well, the answer was just trying to build up the old retention. Don't skip. The answer was, in fact, A. He heard the shout from Phil Foden and he played the ball back. So once we've shown you how great he is, I guess the obvious next question is there any way of stopping Doku? Well, it's a tricky one because there is never going to be a way to stop Doku that works every single time. And that's simply down to how good he is. But this is maybe something that defenders should take a note of and consider if they're facing Doku. So here, Tavernier, we've zoomed in a little bit. Let's zoom out now. You can see he jumps in. He jumps in, which means that Doku can make the opposite action and get past him. And with Doku, something that you need to consider is that he'll always wait for a defender to commit before making an action. So jumping in will allow Doku to beat his man, but there are some contingencies that teams should implement that Bournemouth did not. But the real reason as to why nobody can actually stop Doku at the moment, or for the foreseeable future, is the fact that he has no tells. And so what do you mean by no tells, right? So Doku is incredibly neutral when he's on the ball and about to take on his man. He's also incredibly balanced and he can manipulate his body weight however he wants to. And what this means is that it's really hard for a defender to look at his body shape and predict which way he's about to go. Basketball fans, I've certainly seen it myself, Kobe Bryant talking about analysing certain players and do they lift an arm before they make a move to a certain way. That's the thing with Doku is there's no real clear-cut tells. We've looked and looked and looked, and there is nothing there. So if he's got no tells, and coming back to this point here, there are those contingencies. Because say, for example, with this image here, you've got Tavernier who dives in, okay? Tackles with his left foot, which means that the natural move for Doku is to go to the byline. So the important thing here, again, if we zoom in, is that you need to help each other a little bit. And Solanke, for some reason, he should be making the opposite action to Tavernier. Instead, he's kind of holding that line. He should also be aware of Kovacic actually behind him, but he's not. Maybe it's an attacker not really understanding their defensive situation. But he should be understanding that he's going to go that way, especially if Tavernier is going to work with that left foot. And that should be something that should be in place prior to the game starting. And if we move it along, what happens is exactly this. Doku then beats his man and has so much time to provide the end product before someone is able to get close enough to him. It's difficult, but like most great wingers, you got to double up and you got to work as a team. I think the overarching theme to Doku's dribbling is that he mostly attacks the space, which is clearly something Pep wants from him, but if a team is smart, they may be able to use that to their advantage by allowing space in specific areas and using it as a trap to transition the ball. That is easier said than done though, because Doku is just, well, he's immense. Right, last one. Does Doku A, try to get to the byline with the defender caught flat-footed, or does he B, stay on his right foot and look for the ball across? The answer was B. How many did you guys get correct? Let me know in the comments down below.